Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Spotlight with Sandalina, and I'm your talk show host, Sandalina Sattar. Today's very special guest is Aman, who is an actor, magician, model, and content creator.
Wow.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
So I met Aman for the first time officially at Kushi's birthday party, who was a guest on season 1 of the show. As soon as we met, we clicked instantly. We were actually just at a red carpet event on Thursday where I was conducting interviews, and he was a lead in the short film Moksha.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I've heard about your show a long time. I've seen a lot of my friends come on. I've been excited to do it.
So tell me a little bit more about your upbringing. So where did you grow up?
Here in New York. My parents grew up in Bombay and then moved here.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So what do your parents do?
My mom is a event planner, an Indian wedding planner.
Nice.
And my dad works in finance.
Okay,
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit more about your relationship with your parents growing up. So what was their parenting philosophy with you?
A little bit strict, but not too much. Most important thing was school and academics. I grew up with they had guzzles and poetry nights in the house and things like that. And they were obviously huge fans of Bollywood and just romantic poetry and stuff like that. So I think I remember, especially when I was starting the social media stuff, at first it was focus on school or work or things like that. And then now that they've just seen it and they see me doing scenes and old songs that they loved and grew up, they're so encouraging of that. And they have been from the beginning, actually, too. I mean, I started making videos when I was 13. My mom was also a Kathak dancer and a Kathak teacher. So she would show me when I was in high school other dancers, on YouTube, Svetlana, Tulasi, and Kumar Sharma, and these other big classical Indian dance creators. And then when I moved to LA, I became friends with some of them. But I'd seen them since I was 15. So then when my parents visited LA, I had them surprise her and meet them. So I think full circle moments like that have really made them come around.
Relative to the average South Asian family, your family seems pretty progressive and open-minded, it seems which is a really good thing. I feel like a lot of creators have a lot of gut-wrenching stories about having to, sometimes cut off ties with their family to make it work. So I'm really happy to hear that you're able to have that support and love at home, because I think it makes a difference. Tell me a little bit more about your academic journey. So what were you like in high school? What were some of your favorite subjects? And who were you in high school? What trope did you fit?
I was a nerdier kid in high school. My favorite subjects were probably math and English, which I think is a weird combo maybe.
Okay.
But,
no, it's good. Well-rounded.
Yeah, I was terrible at science.
Okay.
So I ruled out doctor early on.
Good.
I feel like I started high school very nerdy. And then I think through a lot of just even YouTube videos on how to talk, how to dress better and things like that. And doing magic and other things and debate in high school. I feel all that got me out of my shell and speaking more. And then I feel by senior year of high school, I was really proud of the social life that I had built for myself in terms of, I feel I had a lot of really close, good quality friends around me in my main group. And then I was friendly with everybody. I would do magic tricks at school. So, yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like you kind of had a 4-year transformation, going in as one person and coming out another, which is very common for the high school experience for a lot of people, right? You come in at the age of 13, 14, and you leave a full-blown adult going off to college. So that, I guess, basically makes a lot of sense, right? And I like that you talked about your magic, right? So where did that sort of start up?
I was at summer camp when I was 6 years old. And I just saw this older kid at lunch doing magic tricks, and I thought he was cool. So then I was begged my parents for years to sign me up for this magic camp.
Oh wow!
Over the summers, and then they did it after 2 years of begging. So from when I was 7 to 15, I went to magic camp every summer.
Was there ever a point in your life where you felt like you wanted to pursue magic full time, be the next Penn and Teller?
Yeah, I mean definitely. I think those years at camp, especially when you're just doing 8 hours of magic a day, which is very nerdy, but I was so into it. When I was really young, I think I considered being a full-time magician. And now I don't, now it's just something that I get to do, and I do shows here and there. Between 16 and 18, I think I neglected it for a little bit.
Sure.
And then I got back into it later. And now I feel it's a great way, there's almost ways to combine it with things I'm doing now in terms of but events where you could do magic and the stories you can tell with magic, because I'm just figuring out where it fits in my life right now.
I love that your Instagram handle is a.magicman
right.
to this day.
Yeah.
I remember being confused about that until I met you in person and we talked about it. And you actually did a magic trick for me, which was actually very incredible. I still don't know how you did that. That was actually kind of crazy.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, the first few videos I was doing on social media were me doing magic tricks.
And then you also mentioned that you started making videos at the age of 13. So what kind of videos were you making and what platforms were they on?
Yeah, I was doing a lot of special effect videos and fight scenes and just random kid videos. But it's because I took this Photoshop class when I was 13.
Okay.
And then I just loved that class so much, then I downloaded that software at home, and then I downloaded a video editing software.
Okay.
And then I learned off YouTube, and yeah, so I was just posting videos on YouTube some sporadically. So maybe from age 13 to 18, I made maybe like 50 videos.
And it sounds like from a very young age, you've been somebody that's very curious about multiple things. I feel like it's very common for a lot of South Asians, like myself included, right? You grow up and your kind of only goal is that academic achievement or getting into that good college or pursuing that sort of like high flying corporate job. And I personally didn't run into my interest with like the talk show sort of persona until I came to New York.
Oh, really?
So it's very cool to actually hear from somebody that from a young age was like, oh, I was always into magic and making videos. And it's just nice because I think the story fits, right? It shows that like we all have different trajectories and it's about leaning in to sort of our inner feelings or gut feelings to really wind up where we're meant to be.
Yeah,
So-
wow. Well said.
And what was the demographic like in your high school? Were there a lot of South Asians? Were there a lot of other minorities?
No, it was primarily white. There was 1 or 2 Indian kids in my grade, maybe 10 in the school.
Did you ever feel embarrassed of your culture in any way when you were in high school? I feel like it's an odd time for a lot of people, and a lot of people that are minorities sort of in their high school, like kind of feel this weird thing, right, about our culture. So how was that relationship like for you?
I actually had a great experience. I think when I was even younger, maybe in like elementary school or at summer camps, maybe a little bit embarrassed, and like people would like make jokes and stuff when I was like really young. But then, like, by high school, not at all. One of my friend groups to this day, like, a group chat is called, like, the Indian Movie Marathon Squad. My, like, core friend group from high school started because, like, I invited 4 or 5, like, individual friends that I kind of knew to, like, my house to watch Bollywood movies, none of whom were Indian.
Wow.
And then, yeah, that's been my friend group since. I would make them watch 4 movies in a row, you know?
Wow, it's actually really inspiring to hear about somebody. It's refreshing, right, to hear about somebody that grows up with sort of that pride and confidence in their culture and the ability to share in that with people from other ethnicities. I think that's a very beautiful thing.
I think it goes back to my parents and how they really made me study the culture and not just Bollywood, but also like other religious things and stuff. So I feel like I lucked out.
And on the topic of religion, actually, so I know that in South Asian culture, religion and culture are often intertwined. So were you raised on a certain spiritual belief?
Yeah, I grew up Hindu, and we would go to the local gurdwara near us, and then sometimes the mandir.
Okay. And how has that sort of influenced your worldview in the present, would you say, growing up with that like spiritual community presence?
It gives me a sense of groundedness, especially having that community to always come back to. Got into spirituality a little bit more myself also when I was in high school as well, just watching videos online about meditation and things like that. So I feel like I had my own whole journey with that too, which obviously like intertwined, but yeah.
Yeah. I think spirituality is always an interesting topic to broach on this show because it's something that a lot of times is very core to the way that we see the world and the way that we function in our day-to-day operations, but it's not something that's often talked about.
Right.
And I think that religion, spirituality, whatever you want to call it, it's a very independent journey that ebbs and flows. And there are many points in the evolution where, you know, maybe you're closer to it or farther away from it. And where would you say that your relationship with spirituality is in the present?
I think not where I want it to be at. I think I want to be closer to it. There was a time from maybe age 16 to 18, 19 that I was like meditating every day. I was like really into and I feel like I've just lost that with how busy life has been.
Yeah.
Honestly, I credit like YouTube with so much of who I am, just like watching videos online about how to dress, how to talk, how to like stay present and things like that. So I feel like I had a lot, like I was almost like raised by these like people on YouTube, you know?
Wow. So I actually, as a contrast, I actually didn't watch too much YouTube growing up, but I know a lot of people that did. And I feel like I almost missed out on this whole chunk of the internet.
Right.
Because my internet usage is more social media. Like I was always into Instagram and Facebook. I even had like MySpace at some point, like right when it was dying. So it's always interesting to see that. And I love that you sort of had these visions for the way that you wanted to present yourself and your outward facing personality, and you were able to say, okay, what are the steps that I can take in the present to be the person that I want to be? So going out of your way at a young age to watch videos like, oh, like, how do I dress? Because a lot of social interaction is based on presentation, right? The way you dress, the way you look, the way you smile, your sort of persona and aura. And I think understanding that and garnering that social intelligence at a young age is probably what brought you to where you are today.
100%. I mean, I was super, super shy growing up. So it was definitely a big like transformation that I wanted to undergo. Yeah. You know, like I would take a portable DVD player with me to like a restaurant, you know, and just like sit in a corner and watch TV. Like I could not talk to people. Yeah. And then I credit like literally YouTube with just like teaching me all these things. And it's very learned. And I think I think sometimes there's a stigma around it too. But there's nothing to be ashamed of either. You know, it's like everyone should learn these things and things feel uncomfortable at first, but it's not like people say just be yourself, but it's like everything is learned, you know?
Yeah. Out of curiosity, I always wonder this because I've always been like a very talkative sort of chatterbox my whole life. What were some of the thoughts that go through a shy young boy's brain on a day-to-day basis? Like, what is it that keeps you that wanting to be secluded at that age?
Maybe it was, I think you don't want to risk embarrassment or talking to someone. It's easier to just stay in a corner and watch your thing. And it was just, I think one thing that my parents were good at, which a lot of like Indian parents, there's that stereotype, like, oh, like dance in front of everyone, perform in front of everyone at social gatherings. They were good at making me talk to a lot of other adults, which I think was important. That's, I think, one thing that I would also want to teach my kids. Just like, I got good at talking to other adults, I feel like. Up until like high school, I'd say.
I love the journey, like shy young boy to like confident, dancing, acting, magician, man.
I'm still pretty shy. I was so shy growing up. And then, it was just from freshman year to senior year of high school, it was just such a change. Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
No, thanks.
Of course. So we touched on the high school journey. So tell me a little bit more about college. So where did you go to school and what did you study?
I went to UCLA. So I moved from New York to California then.
Okay.
I studied business. I minored in film.
Okay.
And actually, funny thing, going into, I was like debating what to study, and I knew I ruled out science, so I was like between film or business or maybe computer science or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And actually, oddly enough, I used to be super anti-social media.
Oh, okay. I want to hear about this.
Yeah, I like wrote essays on why social media is so bad and things like that.
Never say never.
Never say never. I know. I'm such a hypocrite. Like I was talking to my old English teacher who I would write essays about, and we'd talk about this all the time and talk about like, oh, the dopamine hits and the gratification.
Yes.
I was just so against it,
Yeah.
Like, but then you go viral yourself and things change. And now it's good for society, if it's helping you. I've seen all the positive of social media. I mean, it's changed my daily life, from just all who my best friends are, from us meeting, from like getting to collaborate with actors and dancers and singers and like the comedians. It's just been so amazing. So I can't, like, there's some negatives, and there's definitely like that comparative factor, and you can spend too long scrolling, but when used right, I mean, it's amazing. My life is 1,000 times better.
On the journey of social media, so I think mine's been really interesting. I've always been sort of a social media heavy kid growing up. I just think I've always been very extroverted in nature, like in real life. And then I think that translates into social media, right? You're sharing, you're connecting with people.
Right.
And as an extrovert, when you get fueled by social interaction, you just want more and more, right?
Right.
So it's been interesting. I've definitely had phases in my life where I was like super into social media, and then there were times where I wasn't. And I feel like even in my journey in New York, like there's been times where I started posting on TikTok in 2022, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2022 when I first moved here in the fall. And I really enjoyed it. It was like a really good creative outlet. I was in investment banking at the time, so I was constantly like fiending for social interaction because I was like trapped in the office all the time. So it's a really good outlet. And then I had a couple of videos like go a little viral, and then I started building like a community in person. It led me to my talk show. Like I didn't even know that I had a knack for sort of like emotional resonance with audiences through a screen until I started making TikToks. I stopped using my personal TikTok. I like went private a bit ago. Not a bit ago. It's been like 6 months now, probably. And I just got like super existential about social media and like what we're propagating really by using it. But it's interesting because this talk show lives on social media.
A lot of the biggest creators will only go into the apps to post because they know they'll get sucked in.
Definitely a balancing act. Tell me a little bit more about your time at UCLA.
I had a great time. COVID definitely dented the experience a bit. I was in school 2019 to 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, I had my first 6 months of freshman year in person before COVID started. And I think I was lucky. I think the year after me had it the worst.
Yeah.
In terms of like missing their freshman year and making friends, and missing senior year of high school and stuff. I fell in with like, I feel like the Indian crowd at UCLA. During COVID and online classes, that's when I started making the TikToks in like April. April of 2020 of my freshman year of college. At that time I was posting like 3 times a day for so long, and that was just eating up all my time, So it was honestly, I forgot about college because I was just doing online classes, and I would see friends over FaceTime occasionally, but I had no distractions. I was just so focused.
Yeah. I think COVID was a really good time for a lot of creators to start creating because you have a lot of time, you're cooped up, so you need an outlet for creativity.
It had been a while since I'd made YouTube videos, and I feel like I was like itching for like to create something, and I was like, I want to get back into making videos. I want like one place where all my hobbies can live. So I was posting like me playing guitar, or me doing magic, or responding to a comment and trying to be funny.
Guitar.
A little bit. I'm not so great.
Oh, it's cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it was like an amalgamation of all my interests at the time. So
okay. Wow, that's impressive. And so what was your traction sort of like in the beginning? Like how long did it take for you to get your first viral video in college?
It's pretty early. 10th video.
Wow.
And went viral. Technically hundreds of videos from when I was 13, right?
Yeah.
Like to put it in perspective, I mean, from age 13 to 18, I made 50, 60 videos, had a collectively total of like 17,000 views or something like that.
Okay.
Across all of them over 5 years. And then this one goes viral and it's like 800,000 views in a week. And I'm like, this is crazy.
Wow.
The video was me green screening myself into a Bollywood movie. I knew how to edit. And I feel like that was one like differentiating factor for me on TikTok compared to everybody else. Versus I feel like my editing skill was there. So like I made, after that went viral, I made that a series, and I was just like green screening myself in different Bollywood movies, and that's what really launched me. Like those, I had those first videos doing magic and things, and I still kept doing those things, but after that went viral, I made that a series and just kept growing, and then I feel like that's how I found my community. That's what really started it all, that series.
So your videos had really good reach.
It blew up, and then 2 months later, TikTok got banned in India.
Oh.
So it was fast for the first 2 months.
Yeah.
I hit like 10K on TikTok in 2 months.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, thank you. I was posting consistently. I was like making all sorts of videos.
Yeah.
And then got banned in India. Then it took about 5 months for the next 10,000. And then 2 months for the next, and then it kind of grew more steadily.
So we're gonna transition now to our hot seat segment. So I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and you just answer rapid fire. First thing that's on your mind.
Okay.
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 Ready, set, go. Inspirations in the media.
Like other creators.
Yeah.
I like Sonal Devaraj's content. My favorite creator right now is Dhananjay Joshi.
Okay.
Who's like a dance creator in India whose videos are also just so cinematic as well. Yeah.
Wow. And then do you have any inspirations in Bollywood?
In Bollywood, I mean, Shah Rukh Khan and Hrithik Roshan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the usual.
Yeah, the usual.
Yeah. My favorite movie is Tismar Khan, though, which is an Akshay Kumar movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, what are your top 3 favorite Bollywood movies, actually? That's one.
Yeah, Tismar Khan, and then Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara.
Good one.
Yeah.
Good one. I've seen the third one.
What are yours?
It was really funny. Oh, I'm not a big Bollywood watcher, so my answers are very generic. It's like Kal Ho Na Ho.
Great choice.
It's a good movie. I cry every time. I watch it once every few years, and I always cry. I think Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum was one that I really liked growing up, but I haven't watched it in a few years. But I feel like Bollywood watching, I associate it with like a group activity. Like it's something I want to do with like my family or like a bigger group of friends. And I feel like in New York, people are always meeting outside of their apartments. It's like harder to host movie nights and do things, but maybe one day.
Yeah.
Who are some of your mentors in the space?
While I'm in the edit,
I'll
ask like Ashish for advice on an edit. I'll ask Devin Patel. And then when I was at the beginning stages, I would send videos to all my friends too. I would be like, I made this video. I was like, so I didn't have like my taste established. I would have 6 takes of the same thing and send all 6 to my friends. I'm like, oh, which one's the best? And just like ask so many people. And I feel like I've gotten better at just like trusting myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like you're able to trust yourself and then lean on friends for support, but it's not that you're necessarily like following in somebody's footsteps. You're just kind of doing your own thing. I can ask, who are some of your friends in this space? And I think you touched on that, but anyone else you wanna?
Yeah, so many. I mean, you,
Hi.
my friend Sachin Kumar. I feel like that there was an early stage on TikTok where I feel like I became friends with a few people like Sachin Kumar and other creators. Like Sharayu is another actress who I make a lot of videos with.
And what are some of the biggest names that you've worked with thus far?
My friend Shubha is a singer. She's pretty big on social media.
I've seen her on social media.
Like 5 million followers on TikTok. And,
oh wow! Yeah,
and she's going on tour all the time. She's performed with like A.R. Rahman and a ton of people. And
wow.
So I've made quite a few videos with her. I met Jay Shetty a few times, which was cool.
Oh, through what?
Just at a party. It was actually crazy because I would watch his videos when I was in high school. And I went to like a conference that he was speaking at, again, when I was in high school.
Okay.
And I waited in line to get a picture with him and did everything. I wrote like my college application essay about like a lot of the stuff that he talked about, right? I'm at this party in Los Angeles and I bump into him. And I'm like about to tell him this story about like, oh, I met you like years ago and I'm like such a big fan. And before I can say anything, he's like, oh, congrats on all your success. You're so funny. I love your videos. I was like, this is crazy.
Wow.
I was freaking out.
The power of social media.
Yeah, it's wild.
And your content creation. That's incredible. Put that on your tombstone. That's a good one.
No, it's
That's
good.
A good one.
Yeah. It's wild.
And that's actually a good intro to the next question. What are some of your proudest career moments or milestones?
In the last year, I've been looking for ways, where I can like parlay my social media into like doing fun and cool things outside. I feel like I walked for Fashion Week this year.
Yes.
I did a magic show at Google's Diwali party.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was cool. Acting in this short film recently. I did a play in LA.
Okay.
And then other creator milestones. I mean, like I said on YouTube, I did for so long to like little numbers, right?
Yeah.
And then when YouTube Shorts came out and I started posting content on there, I grew a lot. So now YouTube is actually my biggest platform right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I remember
that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah. Getting the plaque from YouTube was a big deal.
Wow.
That felt like the longest journey, because it's on this. Everything's on the same channel. It's the same channel that I started when I was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you have an acting prep routine right before you start filming? Like, in High School Musical, Sharpay Evans does the...
Ma. Yeah. I think, and just social media has really prepared me. I know, like, a negative association people have with, like, influencers getting into acting, and, like, it's not, like, people aren't like it. But I feel like it's really honed me. I mean, like, from doing skits with comedians and other actors and just being on camera every day, like, it really, I feel like, has given me good preparation that I feel like has been validated in things outside of social media now too. So
I like that. Yeah, that's awesome. Who's your dream collaboration?
Dhananjay Joshi is a creator in India who I want to make a video with. One day collaborate with be in a movie with like big Bollywood actors and stuff like that, right?
That's the goal.
I feel like when I was younger, I would say that like, I need to like, my goal is to like collab with this person.
Yeah.
But I feel like my goals are like less specific now.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need like one person. Like my life will be made if I get this like one person.
That's a good place to be at. Do you face any obstacles as a South Asian guy on the internet?
Like anyone, you'll get negative comments here and there, and that was a journey in overcoming those. But honestly, I'm so lucky. I get a lot of love online, and it's it's honestly crazy the amount of kindness people show me and messages people send. Amazing. It's been overwhelmingly positive, which is
awesome.
It is. I'm very, very lucky.
And I know that you were just a lead in Moksha, the short film by Sparini. And there's a scene in that short film where you're kind of pushed to your limits as an actor, right? And you're in a kissing scene. So tell me a little bit more about what that was like, the preparation and how it was on set and just sort of the behind the scenes.
Yeah, I was definitely a little nervous going into it, but I think because of how professional everybody was, both in terms of the emails and discussions beforehand and being open about everything and exactly what was going to be happening. And then coming onto set and there's so many people on the set, you know, it's not like some amateur thing. There's just so many people,
Yeah.
So I think it was just a very professional environment. It was for like a specific reason in the scene that furthered the story. So
yeah. And I think it's really nice to see actors and actresses sort of do. Was that your first time doing an on-screen kiss?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's really nice, I think, to see actors and actresses sort of taking these leaps, right, into this uncharted territory.
Yeah, I was unsure if I should do it or not, but I think ultimately because it was part of such a personal story for her and served it wasn't done in like a cheap way.
It was, so at the screening when I watched it, it was done very elegantly. It was I really liked the way the short film came together. And to your point about professionalism, I was a production assistant on set as well.
You were there that day. Yeah.
And everything was just perfect down to a T, I think, in terms of execution and professionalism. And so I'm really happy you had a positive experience. What are some of your guilty pleasures?
I think I watch too much social media. I think I'm too critical. I'll like watch my friends' videos and I'll be like, I wouldn't have done that. Like nitpick like editing choices and things like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I think that's natural though.
I rewatch shows a lot.
Okay. What are some of your favorite shows?
My favorite show ever is called Burn Notice. Have you seen it?
No. What's it about?
It's the best show ever. It's about a spy who gets fired from the CIA.
Oh, okay.
I feel like it was also like one of the first like non-Disney kid show that I watched. So Special Place.
Okay.
And then I feel like just that whole like USA Network slate was like Burn Notice, White Collar, Suits.
What did you want to be when you were growing up?
There's a time when I wanted to just like play guitar on the street. It was like my dream. It was just like, I'll just hang out on the street and play guitar. And then I think I always liked performing. So I never did like theater in high school. I was always like jealous, like, should I do it? I had friends in it.
So you just knew that you were made for audiences from a young age. Or you had the inkling at least that it was a potential.
I think so. And I mean, it was also just what had like served me, to go from being shy like what got me out of it was also like doing magic tricks, and like I would use it as like a crutch a little bit in social situations growing up. And then like everybody likes magic, right? People of all different groups in high school like
Brings people
magic,
together.
right? Yeah. So I think I got the validation I feel like that brought me out of my shell was from like performing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what's your favorite part about living in LA?
Ooh.
And actually, where in LA do you live? Are you in West Hollywood still?
Yeah,
or
that
where?
area.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I love the weather. I love the views. I love the people. I don't love the traffic. I feel like I come back and forth to New York so much since my parents are still here and I grew up here that I really get the best of both worlds. But
yeah.
The best part of LA are the people.
I love that.
And the weather.
What's the like nightlife party scene like there? It sounds like for a lot of influencers, content creators, a lot of your career stems from sort of the social scene. So.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think there was a time where I felt more FOMO about like not going to a party because you make up this like, or even like a networking event because there's just so many events, right?
Yeah.
That like you feel like, oh, at this party I'll meet the person who'll like change my life, or just like I'll meet someone that I like that could, because there's been instances where you meet someone and it does lead to this like crazy connection, and if that can happen at any party, then you can't miss anything, right?
Right.
Sometimes the best use of time is to just stay home and edit a video, right, for 2 hours instead of going out and meeting new people. The party scene's good. I think everyone's a little tired of it too. At least of like my creator friends.
Yeah.
I think everybody knows like is in like a grind mode. Like knows like what events to go to and what to just pass on and stay in.
Have you been to any of those like, you know, like the big parties in the hills and
sure,
with the nice views and stuff? Yeah, I'm sure it's What is it? They show on TV? Is it just as nice? Like selling sunset status?
Yeah, it is nice. I think now less, but like especially at the beginning, you know, I felt very like out of place at all these parties.
It's new. It's intimidating.
It's new. I'm also like the youngest one there. Now I think it's fun now. I feel like now I'll go and I'll know 10, 20 people there. I'll have a group and stuff.
Okay, that concludes our hot seat segment. Tell me a little bit more about what all are you balancing in the present day in terms of your creative pursuits?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, I feel like systematize is the wrong word. Like that implies like a loss of creativity, right? But I want to find a routine. For about 3 years, I averaged like one a day.
Okay.
And over the last year and a half, it's been less. And I feel like I've transitioned, but it's like difficult to keep the momentum, right? So I feel like the goal has been and is to like make my videos more like drops, I guess. And like I feel like I've gotten good at like repurposing a lot of that footage in terms of teasers and blooper reels and stuff like that. Maintaining the creativity and then like scaling it also. Working with other editors and videographers and like kind of building a team there. Trying to grow my long form content on YouTube as well.
Long form content do you make? Is it like vlog style?
Yeah, mainly vlog style. Okay. And then also I guess like the goal is to make kind of about like talk about my story of magic or things like that. And then to get into acting, just seeing where it all goes. I never know what to do. If I have like 3 hours free, like should I script a video? Should I edit a video? Because I have terabytes of unedited footage.
So are you a one-man show right now, or do you have a team working under you? Do you have an agent? What's sort of the system?
Right now, one-man show. I mean, I've talked to a few different agencies and management companies, and I guess something I'm figuring out for myself is like, do I want to go with like a bigger place and be like a smaller fish at like a big place, or like a bigger fish at like a smaller agency? I do have videographers who I'll work with occasionally, and like trying out some editors, but for the most part, 99% of all the videos on my account I've edited and shot myself.
So give us a little bit of insight to the time that goes into, so for example, one Instagram reel. So let's say a collab dance reel with another dance creator. So how long does it take to film that? How long is the preparation going into that? How long is the edit? Like kind of break down the process.
Videos more recently I've been trying to put more time into. So like I did a video with Ishani recently, who's a dance creator, where it's like a dance, but it's also like a skit about like she's trying to like get a phone from me. So it's like a dance. It's like she's trying to get it, but it's like a dance choreographed to like the beats of it. So it's like kind of a mix. But so a typical process for a reel, I guess, is like either I'll come up with it or we meet before to like kind of shot list and storyboard like what the video is going to be and the beats are, and maybe a separate choreography session.
Okay.
And
so how long would you pin to that? Like an hour or two?
No more. I mean, so there's some videos where I'm like, I'm in the same city as this person, we should collab. And there's other videos where I'm like coming up with this over like a few weeks and then like trying to think of who to like cast in this video, basically, right? So that planning and ideation phase could take a few weeks, could take a few hours. If we're just like, oh, we're gonna make a video, what can we come up with? Then a few hours we'll have everything choreographed and kind of like a general shot list and stuff. And with a video like that, a lot of the work is done by just picking the song. Right. It's just like you're just coming up with the visuals at that point.
And do you choreograph your own videos?
No, I mean, a little bit. I mean, I'm not a great dancer, good choreographer by any stretch. So I work with a lot of talent. I mean, the dancers who are in my videos definitely take the
lead on
heavy
that.
lift. Yeah. I mean, I'll input a lot and we'll work on it together, and I'll always try and add like narrative elements to the dance to make it seem like a story and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I'll kind of take the lead usually on like the filming of it and the shot listing of it and like coming up with like cinematic ways to transition into it, and we'll retain an audience through it.
Okay.
So yeah, so like a few hours, let's say I'm meeting up with someone, we know we're gonna make a video together, a few hours to plan it, a few hours to shoot it, maybe on a separate day.
Yeah.
And then a few hours to edit it.
Okay. So best case scenario, like the shortest amount of time it could possibly take you to pump out, and let's say the Instagram reel is like 60 seconds. Right. So the shortest amount of time would be like 9 to 10 hours, best case scenario.
Yeah. Which is, yeah, sure.
And how often?
Recently.
Okay. But then it can go anywhere from that to like a few weeks of like.
Yeah. But it can also, I mean, like I said, the first few years of making videos was not like that. It was just like a one take.
Yeah.
I'll say something and try and be funny, which I feel like been showing less of myself. Like it's been more like content, like more this is edited, this is a shot listed thing, this is all these things, versus creators who can just like talk to the camera or like be funny, or like even like skits. So I feel like I have videos that I would post now that are just like a one take too from like an event or something, right? Yeah. So I mean, it could take it could be a few minutes, you know? Yeah. It's just such a big range.
Yeah, that makes sense. But it's nice to know how much work I think goes behind the scenes into one of those reels, because it's easy for us to kind of scroll at it and double tap and be like, oh, this is a cool video, Aman. Right. But to really have an appreciation for what goes into that and the hours of work, right?
Yeah. No, thank you. I mean, there's videos where like the edit might take 20, 30 hours. If it's like a really like a green screen one with like a lot of moving parts, or like, just like trying to salvage difficult footage, you know, and then the edit reshoots with locations and things like that. And wow, that's really impressive that you own the full stack. I mean, that's I think I should separate some of owning the full stack, but it's obviously hard to give up control, right?
Yeah, I run into that issue too with the show. It's like I own the full stack, but it's like maybe 20, 30 hours a week of editing a week minimum.
Right, same.
And it's just like very like, do I want to give this off? But I really have kind of a vision for what I want.
Like, I think only I care. I feel like most people wouldn't think that I'm editing all the videos, and I don't think it would be as much of a loss as I think it would be if someone else does it. I feel like I just take too much pride in like each little cut. Yeah. But I don't think people are following me for like my editing choices. I feel like it's for like the Bollywood stuff or skits and stuff like that, versus like other creators like Casey Neistat, right? Like part of you see his authenticity is through like his cuts and his storytelling and stuff like that's why you're following him, to see like his authorship over those edits. That makes sense. Is like, I love editing, so I feel that authorship over it, but I don't think people are like associating that with me.
That's an interesting point to make. I think you're right. You do have more of a persona surrounding like, oh, Aman's like this like singing, dancing, like Bollywood guy. But I also want to credit you for the work that you do put into editing, right? Because I think that a lot of times there's like subconscious like things that our brain picks up on while we're consuming that keeps us hooked onto watching for the full duration of the video. Yeah, so I think that definitely has an impact, whether people recognize it or not. Yeah, no, thank you for saying that. 100%. I mean, so many, like I try not to overdo it with like the stimulation and like text on screen and stuff, but I'm always thinking about how to like retain. Retain attention. That's like, attention's the modern day currency. Absolutely. Tell us a little bit more about the play that you were in. Yeah, thanks. It was a play called Pyar or Coffee. Okay. Written by Rena Patel, directed by Ripon Schneider. Okay. Produced by Kelly Hamlin. I went to the Indian Film Festival of Los Angeles last year, and then 6 months later, out of the blue, someone who I met at that festival just emailed me saying like, my friend is doing this play. I think you'd be a good fit for it. You should reach out to her. Wow. So then I reached out to her, and then I had a few auditions, and I got the part. And it was first time doing anything like theater related. Again, like I said, I was always like envious of my friends who were in it in high school and college. The writer had submitted it to a lot of festivals, and it won this festival, and so it kind of like got a grant that helped the funding of this thing. Okay. So it was like a limited weekend run, 3 shows or 2 shows, which sold out, and then we added a 3rd show, which also sold out. So it did really, really well. Wow. And it was a great experience doing it, and who knows, it might get renewed for bigger theater, and it might not be over. Okay, congratulations, by the way, on A, being cast, and B, selling out. I mean, that's amazing. Thank you. It was cool. It was really cool to meet so many people who came. Yeah. Wow. And did you actually have people from your TikTok fan base like come to the show? Yeah, 100%. So a lot of people.
Yeah, from Instagram and TikTok and YouTube, and
Wow.
I've been blown away by like the effect that it's. I mean, I was an ambassador for the Indian Film Festival of Los Angeles this
Okay.
year, and I met a ton of people who said they came because they saw like a reel I did or promoted or something like that. So it's
Wow.
such a crazy experience to be able to
Yeah.
do this and like give away tickets also and stuff like that to these
Yeah.
events. And there's so many people who want this, you know, like even at the Moksha screening the other night, I met so many people. One who said that they saw like the reel that I collaborated with them on, but also who just saw it online, right, and had no connection to
Wow.
me or Sheil or anybody.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's always really heartwarming and rewarding to kind of see the impact and influence that you can have, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
oftentimes I've had this experience too back when I was hosting more events through my TikTok and stuff. Like you're alone in your room, right?
yeah,
When
yeah,
you're
yeah.
editing, you're just kind of like a one man show, and it can be sometimes isolating, right? But to think about the real human impact that your
It's
actions are
wild.
having is it's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy. It's
you
very
just can't
humbling.
like, yeah, moments like that put it into perspective. But just
Yeah.
like seeing the numbers on the screen, like you can't like imagine
Yeah.
like a room of that many people, right? Is what
Yeah,
people say. It's just like
exactly. I'm just curious, like, are you ever in a situation where like, oh, I have to
right.
be very mindful of like what I'm commenting on or what I'm liking because
Sure.
it shows up on people's feeds? Like,
Sure,
how's
sure.
that?
Yeah, I'm mindful of that. Maybe this is a naive thought, but I feel like if I just like act myself and go
Yeah,
about the world, everything will be okay. I feel
yeah,
like I'm just trusting, I guess. I'm trying to share parts of my life and stuff like that, but it's also like it's like content. It's like a layer removed from me.
yeah,
You know, it's
yeah,
like I'm acting in every video. Less pressure in that way.
yeah,
It's less pressure than right now, like
yeah.
speaking and like making sure I don't say anything bad.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that makes sense. I like that. And I think one thing
Yeah.
that I talked about in my episode with Ashish on season one was kind of, you go to these events and it's really rewarding. It really is. And
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
very
yeah.
grateful. But then there's times where you just feel so exhausted and sometimes you need to step away.
100%.
So I think that's also a very human reaction, but it's really inspiring actually to see you have just so much. I mean, you're in the right place. You're in LA.
Yeah.
I mean, it
No,
makes
thanks.
sense. But I love that.
Yeah,
Wow.
thank you, thank you. I think there was a time maybe where I was a little more jaded about it than I am now. I feel like I've gotten better. I'm just like grateful for
Yeah.
to be invited to just like be able to, like I said, like meet cool people, make fun videos, like
Yeah.
all I have to do is go have fun and like
Yeah.
it's all the pressure is like self put.
What is your metric for success? Like, when do you feel like you'll be able to look at all of your accomplished and say, I've made it, I'm ready to retire? Yeah.
I'll definitely want breaks.
Yeah. Like
Um,
family and stuff and that.
yeah, yeah. But I think I kind of wrote like one of my college application essays about this, just like
Oh.
so many influences online or like hustle culture and things like that, right? And then also like I was consuming that and like Gary Vaynerchuk videos and other things like and like was very inspired by it, and I still feel like this is the time to like work hard, right, and
Yeah.
grind. But also like the Jay Shetty side and just like mindfulness and like being content in the moment and presence. And I was like, are these like contradictory?
Yeah.
And like in what way are they? Or
Good
like
question.
do you need to not be content to be ambitious? I definitely have goals, places I want to go and ambitious,
Yeah.
but I feel like I've made it now,
I
right
love
now.
that.
Like I'm already living the dream. And like
Yeah.
part of it's just because like I know I'm on the path to other dreams.
Yeah.
Like the dream wasn't to have made it and be able to retire now at 22.
Yeah.
Right? Like I'm living the dream now, which is to be like working on these things, meeting cool people, making videos, and like I live a crazy life in
Yeah.
LA and New York and getting to go to events and be here, and it's wild.
I love that level of gratitude and contentment. I think it's
Yeah.
very easy to get caught up in the rat race of, oh, if I get 100,000 more followers, if I get a
Right,
few
right.
million more
Well, I
views,
feel
if
that
I
way
get a
too.
few, but
So,
like, yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, it's natural, but I love that you're able to zoom out of that and just say,
Yeah.
actually, no, this is pretty great. Do you have any fears as you navigate the future of entertainment, social media? Is there anything that keeps you up at night or stresses you out?
This is not as existential as logistical, but sometimes I feel like I'm not like using my time well enough in 3 hours, taking in a video that's been shot and finish editing it.
Yeah.
Or I could spend those 3 hours building a team and it wouldn't be done that night, but if I do that for a month, where would I
Yeah.
be? Versus like every night just like doing the low hanging fruit of I can accomplish this tonight.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm working on that.
Okay.
But so I fear is that like I'm not like maybe moving fast enough. Like I do still see like everyone else moving and like it's never been better in terms of like South Asian representation in Hollywood, but
Yeah.
it also sometimes feel like there's like limited spots, you know? So I'm like, am I capitalizing quickly enough? Am I like being too focused on content right now when I should be focusing more on acting?
Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that perspective. I know it's a more vulnerable topic. So I guess to put it in one sentence, it's like time allocation, optimization, and relevance, right? Like that's sort of like keeping up with the way that the creator market's moving. Okay, so now moving over to a fun, spicy topic. A lot of your fans are very much crushing on you actively in your comments, right? I see every time I go on TikTok, I see all the heart eyes and the fire emojis. There are a lot of women that adore you, right? So how has that attention sort of been, and how does that sort of impact your perspective on love and general philosophy?
Wow, what a question.
Loaded.
Very, very grateful, for all the love that I get online. It's wild. It's validating, like to go from braces and glasses and everything like that to like now. I was always like drawn to like romantic things in movies and poetry and stuff like that. I wanted to like capture that magic.
You have an entertainment creator mind, so obviously you're going to think about off-screen and on-screen, and a lot of Bollywood does portray love, right? And it's a very captivating sort of experience, and I think it's very cool that you're able to make like skits that sort of revolve around the topic. What are you most excited about looking forward, and are there any plans or projects that you can tease for us a little that you have coming up?
I want to keep making the kind of videos that I do. I want to keep adding more production value to them, and then doing more long-form content. Certain specific acting opportunities coming up, but there's fun stuff planned. As I transition more into acting, I never want to give up making content. I feel like that's so fulfilling in and of itself. I feel lucky that right now I could post like a skit or a vlog at an event or something like that, and I have a generally high level of engagement across everything, and I feel like I can kind of do whatever I want, which is a cool feeling.
What do you want to use your voice for in this world amidst all the noise?
Trying to emanate positivity instead of like looking for it to improve your own life.
I love that. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on today. It's been an absolute pleasure having you. And that's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Tune back in next Sunday for the next full-length episode. And in the meantime, I'm your talk show host, Sandalina Sattar, signing off.